Hello, Internet. Hello, Henry. This is after Campfire. My name is Sam Rubenstein. It's about 9:13, and I'm about to go to bed. Before I do, I need to make a video because if I don't, I will be a full week late, and I refuse. Not again. Not after what happened. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Nope. No. We're not doing that. I'll tell you something. Henry wakes up, goes to work, lives a functional life, makes his videos on time. Me, hot mess express. All day, every day, all the time. I've had a week. It was from the most part a good week, but it's been a week. I've been doing my best. Drinking apple juice, a lot of apple juice today. And so last week my book got approved for publication, and I received the proof copies in the mail. This is the proof copy, which means it was the last one before the perfect ones come out. It's called A Candle Regaining Strength. I wrote it myself. I wrote it during the pandemic. I had a lot of help with an editor named Brielle, who's wonderful, but it's mine. I worked really hard on it. I'm very proud of it. Um, and I did a lot to get that to happen. So, that happened. Getting these proofs was amazing because it's different between like seeing a document of a book and then seeing and holding like the physical copy. Awesome. And then Friday I got like more good news, and I kept getting a lot of really good news all weekend. I'm hosting a writing workshop, hopefully starting in like April or May. I am working on this TV show still, which has been an absolute delight to do. I'm doing more shows. I performed on Saturday. I have this book release party coming at the end of the month. I've got another book hopefully on the way. Like, all really good things. And then I had to go back to work and be a person. And that's a weird feeling. And we'll talk about it in a little bit. Also, I donated double red blood cell, I think it was called. Double red. Let me double check my double red statement. It's a double red cell donation or a power red donation. Power red donation allows you to safely donate 2 units of red blood cells during a singular donation. The power red is similar to a whole blood donation except for the special machine that allows you to safely donate 2 units of red blood cells during one donation while returning your plasma and your platelets to you. So you maximize your impact. It's really important if you're a type O, type A, or type B. A negative, B negative. I'm A positive, but they needed. They're really short, so they needed it. And I don't blame them. I can only donate 3 times a year, though. I can not donate to June now. So I did double red donation. Like, my brain has been shot ever since. And like, I recommend everyone donate blood all the time. Like, please. I don't know who watches this, Henry. I know you do, but like, I don't know who else. Listen, there's a blood shortage. We need people to get blood. It's one of the few things like I'm very adamant about, where like everyone should do it, and like, it takes such little time. You're not doing anything. Your body replaces it. Just everyone go out and donate blood. If you didn't know, like, one normal amount of blood can save like 4 lives, and like I just did a double thing, so like I could save 8 lives, and like platelets can save like more than that. And like, I think it's so important that people remember, like, you never know where you're gonna need this, and like we're all in this weird freaking world together. So please, there is a national blood shortage going on. It's an international issue, honestly. Like, they say the national blood shortage, but like internationally there's a blood shortage. So please, if you're watching this, just donate blood. Like, it would make me really happy. Like, it really would. Um, so I had all this stuff going on, and I just didn't make the video on time, and I'm really sorry about that. But like, I've been working hard on it. But I didn't want to be late again, so we're doing it now. A full week where like there's a time difference, blah blah blah. So with that in mind, apple juice has been drank. Let's jump right into this gosh darn thing. I asked Henry about an activity he would do, and he brought up the video games and he brought up quads. And like both of those, quads, I think more than anything, needs that overhaul. I don't think like I don't know what you can do just because of safety. Like my brain goes to safety always. I don't know. Like I think the thing comes down to that consistency of the trail riders. Like you need trail rides, and so I think more trails would be better. And like a beginner trail, an intermediate trail, and an advanced trail, I think would be the better, like a good option. You start with practicing on the track, and then it becomes more efficient and easier to do trail rides. That's my thought on that. But my activity goes actually right into your question, Henry. An activity that I always liked but didn't like because there's nothing there is any of like the photography, videography stuff. I loved that stuff like in concept, but they didn't have anything for it. And like I love making films and doing stuff like that, but we don't have the equipment at camp. We don't have the supplies at camp. We don't have the support at camp. And like every year, John Aronoff and I and like a few other people talk about like what we could do with this activity, given like the time and the budget. And it's just it would be so cool. You could do films, you could do weekly, YouTube videos. There's a lot that you could do that just doesn't get done because of a lack of budget and like attention, if that makes sense. Because we could offer ourselves like if we have a strong host and a strong not host, strong counselor and a strong event and a strong like program as a thing because that's a huge market right now. Every kid wants to get into videography because of TikTok and YouTube and all those things. And you see it a lot. And I think knowing that you would get such a good like crowd if you could just fix that activity. Like I remember I did it once as a kid because I as a kid demanded I did every activity at least once. And like it sucked. It sucked because there was not anything there. The acting wasn't there. The funds weren't there. The people weren't there. The support wasn't there. Even I remember the editing software wasn't there. Like we were editing on like Microsoft Video Editor Pro, like Plus. Like that's stupid. All right. So that is my answer. I would love to redo and like have a proper video program with a studio and actual editing software and like real like programming there that could be so cool. Um, and all we need is like a really good instructor and really good like equipment. And I think that's one of those things which just comes down to like the way that you invest it would be so cool. And also it's good for camp because it makes a good camp image, but whatever. Henry asked me a question about like a weird activity that like I did once, and like the difference between Henry and I is that like yes, I had my mainstays like drama, gaga, mountain boarding, pottery, um, but I also did every activity at least once. Like that was my goal. Um, and so much so that certain activities I did don't exist anymore. So I'm gonna bounce around between a few because Henry also wanted me to mention cooking. So I'm gonna start with cooking because it's the easiest one to start with. When I did cooking, for those kids who are out there who don't know about this, cooking used to take place in the lower office. And it was in this weird small kitchen attached to the lower office that is now like a storage area. It's where we keep the laser tag guns. And it was not safe. No part of it was safe. No part of it was a good idea. It was a dangerous experience. And I think we were making mac and cheese. And like the bottom of the pan, not the pan, the pot was so old and so just torn up that eventually the mac and cheese went through the bottom of the pan while we were cooking it, and the entire fucking thing caught fire. The entire freaking thing caught fire. And like, that's insane. Like, I remember we're sitting there, and the instructor, I don't even remember what his name was or what he was doing, turns it off, pulls it off, like, pats everything down, and we're just sitting there like, well, now what? Like, do you know how hard it used to be? So difficult to get cooking as an activity solely because you couldn't fit more than like 6 kids in that room. And now we're here and we can't even cook because the room was on fire. Like, it was one of those things where cooking has come such a long way as an activity. And I find that to be fascinating. Like, Ernest did so much to fix cooking and make it amazing. And I give him so much credit for that. So, like, yeah. The next thing on this list of weird activities that I did, because I did all the weird activities. Like I said, I did video editing. I had once a week camp radio show where me and my friend would just go on and we would talk nonsense on the radio. And like, we know no one listened to it, but gosh darn did we have a good time. But radio doesn't exist as an activity anymore. And like, that was such a fun thing because we would just sit there and like, we would talk about camp and we would talk about life and we would listen to music. And like, there was such little oversight that we were just allowed to do whatever because no one cared about radio as an activity. So we cared about radio as an activity, and like, it made it more fun for us. And then I did photography, not digital photography, actual photography. Back when photography used to take place in the Arts and Crafts Pavilion, in the red room, which the dark room, that was like actually the dark room that like you could sort of see the remnants of, and like we had to learn how to like develop our film. And if you messed up once, your film was ruined. You had to like start all over. But it was so much fun. Like, it was like a multiple day experience because you had to take the photos one day, then you had to develop them the next day, then you had to dry them out, and you come back and check on them. And like, it was one of those activities that made you feel amazing as a camper, but it's also one of those activities that cannot exist in the 2-week model because it took time. And then I would say the last one that I did that no one like wants to talk about was the original version of Survival Camp. Because I loved the original version of Survival Camp. It was a terrible idea. Like, Survival Camp now, we're going into the woods. We're gonna pick some berries. We're gonna go and have a nice night out. Yeah. Nah. It used to be, all right, welcome to Survival Camp. Here are your rations. You have 1.5 days worth of food supply. We're going to be spending 3 days out in the woods. Here's an axe. Here's a knife. Good luck. Like, they went with you, but like, they would give you basic information. You had to figure it out. Like, you had to survive. And I remember as a kid, we were out there and like, it was not as easy as like I would like to pretend it was. And like, the only time they would really intervene was if it was going to rain, which it did one of the nights. But like, remember me and like Dennis Illichev and I think it was like Richard Swift or something were like chasing for food. Like, we were hunting animals and like trying our best to survive. And it was great. It made for an amazing, terrifying experience that could never happen today. So yeah, that is my answer to your question of like, what's the weird activities that you did that deserve more love? Those three. I mean, like, Survival Camp's different now, so I get it. But like, photography doesn't exist. Cooking is no longer what it once was. And so like those are them. Um Henry, I am going to go to bed right after this. But I guess my question to you would be, what is a camp memory that you have very distinctly that modern campers won't understand? What is something that's so specific to our generation of camp and like the generation before us that like younger kids will not understand? Let me know. All right. Goodbye.